Israel faced a silent death. It was not a war of swords or the visible agony of famine, but a slow, suffocating rot of a nation forgetting its creator. King Ahab occupied the throne, but he was merely a ghost in his own palace. It was Jezebel who held the reins with fingers of iron. She replaced the living God with cold stone idols of Baal and Asherah, forcing the ancient nation to kneel before dead things that could not hear or speak. Systematically, she purged the land, hunting down every true prophet until the faith of Israel was nothing more than a flickering, dying ember in the dark. But the darkness cannot hide the truth forever. One man remained, a shadow emerging from the wilderness. Elijah strode into the king's court, his sandals echoing against the cold stone floor. He did not bow. He stood before Ahab, his eyes burning with a holy fire, and declared, "As the Lord God of Israel lives, before whom I stand, there will be no rain nor dew in this land these years, except at my word." With those final words, he turned and vanished into the mist, leaving a stunned silence behind. The skies turned to brass, reflecting a sun that refused to show mercy. For 3 long years, the heavens were sealed shut. The once fertile valleys of Israel turned to gray dust, and the mighty rivers vanished into veins of cracked mud. Every green thing withered and died. Ahab scoured every border, hunting for the man who had silenced the heavens. Fueled by a desperate rage, he searched every kingdom, every village, but Elijah remained hidden by the hand of the Almighty. The silence of the sky was matched only by the silence of the people, who suffered under the weight of their own betrayal. The land was screaming for a drop of water, but the heavens remained a solid wall of heat. Finally, when the earth was at its breaking point, the silence broke. Elijah returned, standing face to face with the king once more in the middle of a barren wasteland. Ahab spat at the prophet's feet, his voice trembling with fury. "Is that you, you troubler of Israel?" Elijah stood tall, unmoving like the mountains behind him. "I have not troubled Israel," he replied. "You and your father's house have, because you abandoned the Lord to chase after Baal. Now, gather all of Israel at Mount Carmel. Bring every one of the 450 prophets of Baal and the 400 prophets of Asherah." Fear gripped the king's heart. He saw a power in Elijah that no idol could match. He obeyed. Thousands gathered on the slopes of the mountain, a sea of desperate faces looking for a sign. One man stood alone against 850 prophets of false gods. Elijah faced the trembling crowd and shouted, "How long will you waver between 2 opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. But if Baal is God, follow him." The crowd remained mute, caught between fear and conviction. The test was simple. The God who answered with fire would be the true God. From dawn until noon, the prophets of Baal screamed. They danced frantically, they clawed at the air, and they slashed their skin with swords until crimson stains covered the ground. Elijah leaned against a rock, mocking their futility. "Shout louder," he called out. "Perhaps your God is busy or sleeping and must be awakened." But there was no voice, no spark. As the sun began to set, Elijah stepped forward. He rebuilt the ruined altar of the Lord with 12 stones. He laid the wood and the offering, then did the unthinkable. "Fill 4 large jars with water," he ordered. "Pour it on the wood." They soaked it once, twice, and a 3rd time until the water filled the trench and the wood was sodden. Elijah knelt in the mud. He did not scream. He whispered, "Lord, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, let it be known today that you are God." Suddenly, the air shattered. A roar descended from the heavens, a wall of living flame. It consumed the sacrifice, the wood, the stones, and even the dust. It drank the water from the trench in a single breath of heat. The crowd collapsed as one, falling face down into the dust. A chant rose from the earth, shaking the very mountain. "The Lord, He is God. The Lord, He is God." One man's prayer had brought a nation back from the brink. This is the power of a faith that refuses to break. Follow us and walk through the greatest stories ever told.